Hello and welcome to Super OK, where we try to do a decent enough job to entertain you with our opinions on video games. As always, my name is Dale, and I'm joined here by absolutely one of my favorite humans on the planet, a wonderful bearded human who I love with my whole heart, and his name is Gannon. Gannon, how are you doing today?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing well. It's been so long since I've gotten to talk to you all, and I brag about all of you. I was like, oh man, I got this cool group. They do super okay. And then people are like, oh, you on the podcast? I'm like, I used to be every so often. They're like,
Lol.
oh. And I was like, but you should still listen to it. They're like, okay. And they're like, wow, those guys are funny. Why would you be on that podcast? And I say, because they need people sometimes. And here we are tonight where you need people, so you get me.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Is bearded the correct term?
I mean, yeah, it's a full beard at this point. Like it's been
Yeah.
going. I've trimmed it down a few times for shows, but we thought so. I'm in a show right now that's set in the 70s, and we thought we were going to be going handlebar mustache, big old burns. And at the last minute, they're like, no, let's keep the beard. So I grew it out, getting ready to do that, and then I kept but the beard is still here. It's growing. It'll be coming down at least shorter after the show's closed in April, because summers here in Austin are not really conducive to a big beard.
Yeah,
There are people who do it, but I'm not one of those people.
that makes a lot of sense. It's hot as fuck down there.
It is.
Also, just real while I'm complimenting you, excellent T-shirt, absolutely
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you. I got it for Valentine's Day from my family. It's a wonderful Bluey T-shirt with the dad from Bluey on there with his two kids and a bunch of hearts all over it. It makes me real happy.
It's great. It's truly great. Shout out to Bluey. If you're not Bluey, I know you're listening. You've got a great show.
Hmm.
So, despite all of our conversation so far, this is a video game podcast. But of course, we can't just jump into the video game. We got to give you a little tease, a little kiss before we
Hmm.
dive right in. And so, we're gonna do a highlight of the week, which is a thing that we do every week, where we talk about a thing that made our week a little bit better, a little bit brighter, a little bit nicer. I tried to say both of those words at the same time.
Bracer.
Brycer. Gannon, would you mind enlightening us with your highlight of the week?
Yeah, so for me, I really have two. One was the show opening. It was a great experience for the weekend. Just gonna quickly gloss over that though to get to the second one, which in all the craziness of a tech week and opening a show, we've been looking for a cat for a little bit. And on Friday, my wife found one at the shelter, and we went there, and she had so many similarities with the cat that I adopted, Anara, 15 years ago at this point. She had just had a litter of kittens. Those kittens had just been adopted. She's about the same age as Anara was when I adopted Anara. And the coolest thing for me is, so the story I always tell when I talk about adopting my first cat, Anara, is
Mm-hmm.
she jumped out and reached out from the cage and like grabbed my shoulder when I was walking by. I was not looking necessarily for a Russian blue, and she reached out and grabbed me and pulled me, and I was like, okay, this is it. Um, it at the PetSmart, because that's where they were doing they partnered up with the Williamson County shelter down here. Um, like she was in the little cat condo just sleeping. As soon as Charlie came up, she jumped out of the thing, went up to the window, started rubbing against the window. We were like, we got to meet this cat. We went in there, met the cat. She jumped down. She jumped up into Charlie's lap. And then she was rubbing against Charlie and Jack, my crazy 2-year old, well, soon to be 2-year old. And just the way that she handled the kids, it was like this cat is meant for our family. So we adopted her on Friday night, picked her up on Saturday in the morning, and have been and just haven't looked back. The big thing now is getting her acclimated to the other pets in the house. We're working on Nars first, and then we'll deal with the beast downstairs. And it is Rocky, who's sitting behind me chewing on a bone right now, and I just pray to God he doesn't kill this cat because that will be something we'll never recover from.
Yeah, that sounds rough. So I have multiple questions. First
Mhm.
question. Um, you keep saying the cat. Does the cat have a name yet?
The cat does have a name. We're keeping the name that she was given by the shelter. That way, I don't have a 4-year-old trying to name it, which is quite the balancing beam act to
Mhm.
work with her. So her name is Skittles. She's a
Okay.
little calico. She's a year and 2 months old. She's mainly orange with white and black on her, and she is just a little sweetie. Charlie has already named her Metal, Skittles, Sparkles, Styles. So she has 4 names. Well, 3 names and a last name.
Got the last name
So
right though, so that's
she
pretty
did.
good.
Yeah, we're proud of her for that.
Yeah, that's impressive. Now my follow-up question to this is you said that you were looking for a cat. How
Mhm.
long have you been looking and why?
Because Rocky has made us not dog people. We've always been cat people, but Rocky has confirmed that we're cat people.
Amazing.
And with Nars, she's 17 years old at this point.
Mhm.
Um, and something that and we grew up with cats growing up always, and having the older cat teach the younger cat is always a nice thing to like get them to realize what the routines are if we can get them to bond. Um, and it obviously makes it a little easier as things happen and the life transition that will happen at some point.
Yeah,
Despite my current belief that my cat is my vet told me that Anara was a forever kitty. Bridget tells me that it's just based on her size and not because she's going to live forever, but I'm of a firm believer she's going to live forever.
now you're a
So
theater person. Have you seen Cats?
I have, yes, and the only way that the cats die in that is if they go ride the magical balloon to the sky.
Yeah, they get
So
Jellicle on you.
I just have banned all balloons in the house to make sure my cat can't fly off into the sky. Like
Fucking
that's the only like it's beautiful, right? Like
listen to this
I
man
have
over
it
here
figured out.
closing the loopholes.
Yeah, there will be no memory in this house.
I love it.
Oh, that hits too close to home. Uh,
I
uh, let's keep it
I
moving.
love it. Yeah. So I'll tell like a little bit about my highlight of the week, which is the fact that I just got back from an absolutely baller vacation to Seattle, in which I went with my wife and her best friend of 20 years to celebrate her 20-year friendiversary. It's her friend Nikki and her 3 kids, Noah, Sophia, and Hannah. And they were like, "What are we gonna do to celebrate our 20-year friendiversary?" And the answer was something inexpensive. And so we found like a cheap resort in Seattle because nobody wants to go to Seattle in March, which makes sense. Seattle, famously known for rainy and shitty. Flights out there were very cheap because of this. Um, and it turns out that the whole time we were there, the weather was flawless. It sprinkled once, and that's it. We spent most of our time about 2 hours north of Seattle, where the resort was. We like got to go on the bay, and the kids got to like hunt for sand dollars and cool rocks and all of that. There's a park there that's on the border between the U.S. and Canada that I did not know existed. It's called the Peace Park, and it's this space that is dedicated to the ongoing friendship between U.S. and Canada. And there's a big gate between the two countries that is always open. And so you can just walk into Canada. There's no guards posted, anything like that. It's just like you can walk into Canada. You have to come back, like you're only allowed in the park, but still, that's pretty freaking cool, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty awesome that you have that experience to be able to like step on one country, step on the other country, step on one country, step on the other country. Now,
exactly.
are they handing out Tim Hortons right at the border? Like, do you get the Canadian experience right, or do you still feel like you're in America
I
because
mean,
patriotism?
it's you go from one side, you see the American flag, from the other side, you see the Canadian flag, but nothing else changes. There's no Timmys in the park or anything like that. It is a true shame. But it was really cool to like be there for the kids' first experience of like going to another country. One
That
of
is
them
very cool.
straight up cried when this happened. Like it was just why? Because I mean, you think about it. Like they're from Arizona. The odds of them ever going to Canada real slim. So
Mhm.
yeah, pretty cool. Um, and then we went on like this gorgeous hike and saw waterfalls and this old moss covered bridge, and then we drove onto a ferry, and the ferry took us to an island, so I drove our car just straight up onto a freaking boat. So that's a thing I've never done. And then the locals there were mostly nice except for a woman who hurled a stick at us for no good reason. um, so if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, go fuck yourself. But everyone else on the trip, everything else was amazing. Shout out to our friend Joey who showed us around Seattle. We went up into the Space Needle, and there's a glass floor there, and the whole thing rotates, and so that was terrifying and amazing. We went to the market where they throw the fish, and the gum wall where people just stick their gum all over the place, and it's fucking gross as hell, and I don't know why
That
they
sounds
do it.
grody.
It
Yeah,
was
that sounds
so
grody.
disgusting. We all did it, and then we immediately all ran to the bathroom to wash our hands. Nasty as fuck. But yeah, went to the first ever Starbucks. I don't care about that, but Nikki loved it, had a great time, legit cried while we were there. Like, absolutely awesome experience. Um, Highly recommend checking out Seattle at some point in the future if you are listening and haven't yet. It was
Very
great.
cool.
It was great. Yeah. Um, so yeah, that's my highlight of the week.
I
A
did
little,
have one question
yeah,
regarding Seattle because you posted some stuff in the Discord. So were you at like a crazy arcade or was that just like a random place? You posted some pictures in the Discord of a bunch of arcade games. I actually seen that Killer Bee game at the Asian market, the H Mart here
yeah.
in Austin, and have not played it yet. But now that you've played it, may give it a shot if I get some friends there.
Yeah, so this was an arcade that it was a really nice arcade in that it had like a bunch of like specialty and harder to find games in it. It had like the physical Pong machine, where it
Oh,
moves everything using magnets. It's really cool. It had some like really awesome pinball machines. It had the straight up Metallica pinball machine, which was really awesome. But
very
the
cool.
highlight of it was this game called Killer Queen, and it is an arcade 5v5 arcade game that also came out on the Nintendo Switch. I looked it up. The servers have since closed on this game.
R.I.P.
Yeah, rip forever, Killer Queen. But the game is amazing. It's 5v5, 10 players. It's a buck to play, so it's the easily the best value. And it's this absolutely insane like platformer where it's kind
Hmm,
of like Joust in that you if you have a sword, you can jump down on the other players and kill them. But the only way to get a sword is to have the leader of each team, the queen bee, capture these like monuments, and then you take a berry into the monument and you cook the berry for 8 seconds, and that turns you into either a warrior or a speedster. And
Okay.
this is important because there are 3 ways to win this game. The first way is military victory, which is where you kill the opposing queen 3 times by
Okay.
landing on their head if you have a sword. Queen starts with a sword, everyone else has to get one. The second way is by an economic victory. Those same berries that you can cook in the monuments or whatever, you can take them back to your base. And if you fill up your beehive with the berries first, you win. The third way is the craziest way, and that is victory via snail. There is a slow moving snail in the middle of the map that eats berries. And if you feed the snail a berry, it will and get on its back, it will ride towards your opponent's goal, right? And then if you kill the person who's riding the snail or the snail runs out of berries, the other team can hop on it and go the other direction. And then there's just a goal on either side of the screen. And if the snail hits that goal, your team wins. and it's amazing. And
Dude.
so we played it 3 times. We had 2 military victories and 1 snail victory, and the snail victory was the best thing ever.
That sounds amazing. A snail victory. I wonder if that's where the generation of the whole story with like the snail that chases you, you get immortality, and as
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a snail that will never stop, and if it touches you,
Decoy snail.
you're gone. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it's
I hope
that's
I
really cool.
don't think so, but I wish that were I
It's
wish that were
canon
the
now.
case.
It's
Yeah.
canon that Killer
Queen.
Queen what is
Yep.
the one that that spawned that story.
Yeah. I think it's on the Switch. I think the release is called like Killer Queen Black or something like that. But the
Okay.
game is so fun. If you ever have a chance to play it in the arcade, I highly recommend it. It was absolutely amazing. Um, yeah, definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, it's
So
right next to the Street Fighter 2 machine at the H Mart. So
nice,
Super OK Collection Austin visit. We'll have to do it.
nice. Apparently, the game used to be available on Steam also,
Oh,
and it's no longer available. Got a review back in 2019 that says potential to be the definitive online multiplayer experience of 2019. Got a 95 rating from Nintendo World Report, and the servers are shut down less than only a few years later.
that's bad marketing. That's what that sounds like because I never heard of it until the arcade game.
Yeah,
So
it's cool. It's
mhm.
very cool. So that is one new game that I've played so far this year. But today,
Okay.
Gannon and I have decided that what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the other new games that we've played this year.
Let's see
Uh,
what you did there.
yeah, thank you. And so we're just going to go through. There's been a ton of awesome releases that have come out so far, things that we were expecting, things that we 100% were not expecting. And so we're just going to go through a rundown of some of the games that we've been enjoying so far. Uh,
Mhm.
do some quick little reviews, maybe get you interested in them, let you know if they're worth your time or not, and just share those with you. So, without further ado, Gannon, if you wouldn't mind, what's the first game you want to talk about?
Yeah, the first one I want to talk about is the one that I've obviously been hyping up forever, the one that I've been super excited about and talked about in the Discord way too much, and that is Dragon's Dogma 2. As of the time of this recording, it has been out for a little over 4 or 5 days. 3 days, 4 days. It was last Friday, and we're recording on a Monday night, I think, right now.
Yeah,
uh,
it's
so
Monday.
yeah, it's been out. I did have my show open this weekend, so I haven't played as much as I would like to. But
Mhm.
last night I definitely spent a lot of time going and playing until 5 a.m. because I'm a maniac and I couldn't stop once I started. For me, it's exactly what I wanted it to be.
Okay.
Um, if you are paying attention to the internet like Metacritic world of it, it was highly rated by the Metacritic world, and then once it got to the actual release, it's actually been flamed pretty hard in the
Yeah.
by users. And some of that stuff is justifiable, and some of it I don't necessarily agree with. The one that I think is the most justifiable is the fact that at this point there's not an easy way to start a new game, which is the wildest thing I think I've ever heard of in a single player RPG game.
I'm sorry.
Is
I need you to pause. What do you mean you can't start a new game?
so once you start a new game
Mm-hmm.
in the opening menu options, start a new game is not an option anymore. It's load from last save and load from last in rest. So once you start the game, the only way to delete it is to like go into the game files and delete it, or delete all of your game information. I think on the PlayStation or on the Xbox. I don't know the console way. So that is wild. Now they've already said that they're going to change that. I don't know how that makes it into the final copy of the game. I know there was a lot of backlash in the review process that there was only going to be one save file, so you couldn't have multiple games going at once. But I don't think anybody predicted that you couldn't easily restart your one save file. So that's kind of wild. Um, performance wise, it definitely is a beast, uh, because of the nature of how alive the universe is. It is a super CPU intensive game. So as soon as you get into towns where there's a ton of NPCs, the CPU, like the frame rate drops. I'm fortunate enough to have just built my computer, and I go from around 100 frames per second down to about 40 or 50 when I go into the major cities, um, and get a little like chugging there. And there's definitely some bugs that have crop up in my gameplay where the game just freezes and I have to wait like 20 seconds before it resolves. It doesn't fully crash, which I'm very thankful for.
That's
I do
nice.
not lose the game. Like I do not lose my progress. It just hangs and I sit there and I'm like, okay, is it going to happen this time? Am I going to make it through? And then it continues. I actually haven't had a hard, like, knock on wood, crash where I lose progress. I have done other things in the Dragon's Dogma world that have screwed over my game and lost me progress because I explore when I shouldn't. Like I'm on an escort quest and I explore and then I kill my escort by falling into water and they drown. And that's just my hubris of exploring when I shouldn't be exploring. Um, and that stuff is, it's still very much Dragon's Dogma,
Yeah.
which I think is the biggest disservice that Capcom did with this game. They marketed the shit out of this game like it would be a game that is accessible for everyone, that anyone should be able to, like, anyone would want to play,
Okay.
and it is not. It is
Fair.
a painful like if you're looking for kind of an old school painful RPG experience of like everything you do like has a chance of you break, like not breaking your game, but like making it so you need to reload a save if you don't want to move forward in it. Like anything that you do, like you were watching me, I walked across a just randomly there was a griffin that was attacking an area and it kept like it was a random spawn and I was not strong enough to kill it. It was one shotting me, and there's nothing I can do about that other than either avoiding it or taking a save file back far enough that I don't have it spawn and kill a bunch of potential NPCs that could be quest givers.
Yeah.
There's no one in this game is safe from dying, which is crazy. My first time playing through the original Dragon's Dogma, I think I've spoken about this, but if I have, I apologize. But like there was a whole portion of the game where I never met the queen of the main first game because that I just didn't go down a weird path, or I didn't go down a path that was there that I just missed, but I never met the queen. And she was like in the end game, like where they're like flashing back over your life, she's one of the people who talks to you and is like, make your choice, like this major choice you're making at the end of the game is important. I'm like, who the fuck are you? I don't even know who you are. but,
Amazing.
but that's just what Dragon's Dogma is, and I loved that personally. That's what
Yeah.
I love. I love that it's such a weird experience for everyone each time they play. But that is not a casual gamer experience, and
No, not at
it's getting
all.
flamed really hard for that. They also have some paid DLC in a single player game, which um, it's kind of yucky, right? Like it always feels yucky when you see that. It's not surprising to me because they did it in the first one. Everything that they've kind of offered in this one, they offered in the first one at one point. Other than the character like recreator, but you can buy like the ability to remake your character mid game without spending money. It's just that's what people saw and they kind of
Right.
like lost their mind.
Yeah. I'm
Justifiably
looking at
so.
this. I,
Yeah.
I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that as far as like DLC is concerned for this game, there's 21 different pieces of downloadable content.
Yep.
And they range anywhere from like $2 to like a buck 50 or something like that.
Hmm.
And then there's like a bundle that's like $15 and it includes the new journey pack and it's got all this stuff.
Hmm.
Is all of that stuff earnable in game?
Everything on that list is earnable in game,
Okay.
and it's it like the rift crystals are like a currency that you get from like other people using the pawns, which I'm not going to go into the full like pawn system in that
Mm-hmm.
podcast because that's not our goal right now. But
Mm-hmm.
like it's something that you can earn. Um, if no one is using your pawn, then this may be a way to also earn them. But at this point, there's so many people that are playing the game that shouldn't be an issue. Um, and there are ways outside of people using your pawn to earn those rift crystals.
Yeah.
It's just I honestly don't understand why they did it. My favorite though is one of the reviewers admitted to they said it was in a press release and I just didn't read that part of the press release. Like it's like, oh, well that would have been nice. That probably would have caused like people should have known about this. It should have been something that was talked about a little more before this game came out. But I do think the marketing was kind of a big miss on this one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
I definitely think so. It is also getting absolutely blasted for some of its PC performance.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. If you do not have a newer CPU and if you do not have a heavy duty rig, it is not going to run very well for you. Um,
Now, question,
that's what.
is that because the game is absolutely beautiful, or is it because it's poorly optimized?
Oof, I think it's a little bit of both. The game
Okay.
is beautiful. The problem is how CPU intensive it is, and that like I talked about, it's because it's constantly pulling in everyone else's created pawns on the servers that they are just walking by you in the world and like it's not a set path. It may be a set path of like they walk the road, but it's not like this is a scripted event where this NPC walks by every single player. It's
Right,
not
right,
built
right.
into the game. It's like, oh, this got pulled in and there's people here. Oh, and there was a spawn of an ogre and like if you're within the vicinity of that those things are happening around you. And in the open world, it's not that big of an issue. It's once you get into the towns where there's just so many NPCs that are all doing their own random thing that is causing an issue to the point where people were killing NPCs to increase their performance. They were just murdering NPCs to increase their performance,
That sounds like
which
the most insane speedrunning strat of all time, and I love it.
I love it too. I love it too. So, um, I kind of saw some of the writing on the wall with that, with the reviews that everyone who was playing at these preview events. They were all on PS5, and they were all locked to they were all locked to like 30 frames ish. That's what they kind of said. The goal was 30 frames ish. And if a PS5
Yeah,
is going to be gold 30 frames ish, then a PC from 4 or 5 years ago is probably going to be less than that.
yeah.
And that's just kind of a bummer. Like that, like that's what this game is. They have said they're going to do some patches. Like they've given that information out, but who knows? I hope it doesn't turn people off from the game completely. But if it follows the Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen path and is $5 at some point, you should pick it up. The game is really fun to play if
Cool.
you can play it.
Very cool. Very cool. Speaking of games that are really fun to play, I wanted to talk a little bit about a game that came out of frickin' nowhere and has surprised not only me, but I think most of the world at this point. And that is a game called Helldivers 2.
Seriously, I was so wrong about this game. I was so wrong, and I will admit it. I
Yeah.
was like, this does not look fun. I think you and I both said the same thing, right?
Yep. Yep. We both said, like, this looks fine. I'm glad that the Call of Duty players have a different game that they can latch onto. Oops. It's brilliant.
Yep. It is such a fun game loop, and it's one of the few games that does games as a service right.
Yes. 100%. Everything in it is community driven. There's like similar, actually, hilariously enough, similar to Dragon's Dogma. There's some DLC, but it doesn't really matter to the like core play gameplay of the game. Um, And what's funny is Dragon's Dogma is kind of getting shit on for it, whereas Helldivers 2, everyone's like, "Oh, it's great. You don't have to buy any of this stuff," you know?
Yeah.
Which is very funny, the dichotomy between the two. Probably just because one of them is a live service and we're so used to like Bungie just like or like the Avengers game or whatever. Pick your
Oh,
favorite
and the
live service.
$40 versus the $70 price tag too. Like
Yes.
that's I
Yes.
think that $30 swing is huge for people's expectation of that stuff.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. To Gannon's point, this game came out at $39, $39.99 US, which is probably like $900 Australian or something. I don't know. I'm bad at math. But anyway, the game is great. It is a very simple concept. You are a citizen of Super Earth who has decided to become a Helldiver. And Helldivers are, if you've seen Starship Troopers, unbelievably expendable troops that they just throw meat wave after meat wave of Helldivers onto these planets to try and like control these bugs or these robots or whatever. And it's absolutely amazing because you as the player are playing as a Helldiver, and then you'll like be running around and you'll die, and one of the other squad mates can call in for a reinforcement, and they just send down a different identical like a different Helldiver with an identical loadout to the one that you picked at the beginning, to the point where one of your character choices at the beginning, and in fact the default character choice, is to have a random voice actor, right? Where
Yep.
every character that comes in sounds different, and it's so great. It's such an amazing thing. But the theming of this game is amazing. Talking about spreading managed democracy, the opening cutscene to the game opens with like a U.S. advisory or whatever, but it says that a lack of attention will be considered traitorous activity or something like that. It's just so good, and you're just like fighting back bugs and robots for the fate of Super Earth. It's absolutely amazing. Um, just like so fun. Have not yet played a full round with randos though, because the game is so popular that they've had to like stop the servers and like upgrade the servers. And here's the amazing part about the company that brought this out. They're called Arrowhead. Somebody was like, "Hey, what do you think players should do while they're trying to like get into your game because it's so popular? There's not enough servers." And he's like, "Well, we're trying to get servers. So until then, like, play something else. There's a lot of good stuff out there." And it's like, it's the only time I've heard a developer say, like, "Don't play our game." And it really made me want to play the game.
Yeah. They are definitely they seem like they are doing things right. Like they are making the right choices in regards to how they're drip feeding content, but still like it doesn't feel stale. It doesn't feel like you're um one, it doesn't have the FOMO issue, which is fantastic.
Yes.
I was just playing with Harry Nebus the other night, and like he hadn't played for weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and he was still level 3. But when he logged in, he had all the medals of all the major objectives that had happened when he wasn't there. Like, and for those of you who don't know, major objective is a community wide objective, and he got the credit for all those, even though he didn't play. It wasn't like, oh, you have to go do this mission or you're not going to get the medals. The other option is you're going to, like, if you don't do the mission, then what just happened recently is as a group we failed the mission, and then we got a missive saying we can't procreate. All procreation applications will be denied until we make up for the fact that we failed this mission.
No one's
What
allowed to
beautiful,
bone because we lost to some bugs.
hilarious, just fantastic theming. Uh, the thing that blows my mind too, if you're following any of the meta for this game, there are people who don't understand that we're kind of the bad guys. Not kind of, we are the bad guys for this game. Like Super Earth is not a place that we should be championing. I mean, it's fun to be like, yay, spread managed democracy, but like if I would highly recommend looking into some of the lore of it because it's fantastic. But like people, it's the Starship Troopers thing. Like people don't understand that it's a parody of the the military
Yeah.
complex. Like, and it's the same thing with this game, which is hilarious.
Yes. I also want to take a moment to talk about Joel.
Joel,
Joel
that
from
bastard.
Arrowhead. So here's the cool thing about this game. We've talked about all of the like objectives and all of the different stuff that's going on, and you're like, man, that sounds like they really figured out a cool algorithm to do that, and they didn't. Instead, one of the developers, whose name is Joel, is just the game master for all of Helldivers. He's the guy who decides like, here are the major missions, here are the minor missions. Here, like, one day you might just have a mission where it's like way too fucking hard and it's just Joel just doing Joel stuff.
Goddamn Joel. But then Joel can be like, hey, I'm gonna start dropping mechs. Before we had like the big mech thing, random people were getting mechs in their games. Like, and in the Discord, I think was it both sides? Somebody posted like there's now seeing some vehicles popping up in the game, and it's like this is crazy. Like
Nobody
this
even
is the
knew there were
coolest way.
vehicles.
Yeah, this is the coolest way to like tease things in the future. Like it's not just like data miners telling us things. It's random drops for random people who are streaming. And like Joel's message for the one video was like, I gotta
Please,
get back to work here. Please use this.
please take this, and he just leaves an armored personnel carrier and then leaves their game. And it's like, we didn't even know you were in here, Joel.
So cool.
Absolutely amazing.
Like such an awesome masterclass in what this game is. It should be. I'm actually really excited to go back and play Helldivers 1 now. And like try it out for the first time.
I know for a fact that I own it, and I know for a fact I've never once launched it
Yeah.
because I was just like, what is this? Some sort of weird top down thing? I don't give a shit, you know. And now I'm like, ooh, they're cooking, they're
Yeah.
cooking. So yeah, very exciting stuff. And I have read a bunch of stuff about how there's different things from Helldivers 1 that they are foreseeing is going to come into 2,
Yeah.
and it's like a way, basically as a way to reward people who played Helldivers.
Yeah.
So really, really cool, really awesome. Yeah, so that's the game that has surprised me. Are there any other games that you wanted to bring up?
I know you hate it, but what surprised me is Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
Mm.
That is a game that I have been playing a lot of. It's like an anime Monster Hunter. A very fun gameplay experience if you are a Monster Hunter fan and you had your heart broken like I did when we found out that Wilds wasn't going to come till 2024. And then like I had no clue about this game, and then a bunch of the content creators that I watched for Monster Hunter stuff were like, we're playing this game and it's awesome. And then that's how I discovered it. And it's such a great like tie over game if you want that Monster Hunter grind feel. It's not as clunky as a Monster Hunter. It's definitely a faster like action kind of style, but still really fun. Still gets that like grinding experience down. There are currently 18 different characters, which each are different play styles. So it's their way of dealing with the weapon system of Monster Hunter. You don't just have one hunter and then you switch out your weapons. You just play a different character.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a ton of skills, a ton of customization, and it's been a game that I really have enjoyed. Um,
Nice.
I will say the one caveat they did just, I mean, it is based off of, there are two other Grand Blue games. There's a fighter called Grand Blue Versus,
Mm-hmm.
or Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and they have Grand Blue Fantasy, which is a Genshin style like story game. Um, so they are kind of known for having like free to play games with microtransactions. This is a $70 release game. I believe $70 release game, and they did just introduce some pay to win mechanics, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But can't say I'm surprised.
Yeah. there.
Uh,
Here's the thing about this game for me. I don't, like you said, I'm not a big fan of Monster Hunter style games.
mhm.
Um, it's also like it's not an anime game. It's a very anime game. It's doing shit like one person triggers their special attack, and then another person triggers their special attack, and then the other two characters trigger, and all of the four of their faces show up in the middle, and it goes like full burst. And like there's shit all over the screen everywhere, and you can't tell what's going on. It's like this game was specifically designed for me to hate it. Like
Yeah, it kind of was.
like I can play a Monster Hunter style game. I played whatever the like free to play one was, um, made by Epic. I can't remember what it was now. Um,
Mhm.
and I had an okay time with it. It was fine. I put a couple hours into Monster Hunter World. It was fine. Um, but I cannot abide a game that is both Monster Hunter and that anime. The second piece,
Meanwhile, I'm over here like, ooh, it's like Xenosaga 2, like with burst attacks and combining all of our stuff. I love it.
yeah, you're a maniac. Also, I hate to do this, but you said Monster Hunter Wild coming out in 2024. I hate to break this to you,
No, I
full.
said 2025. I
You
said
said
5.
you said 2024 because that's what's in your heart, even though your head knows that it's 2025. So just a
Oh.
quick in the moment fact redaction there. I'm sorry that I have to bring that up again to you,
Oh.
because man, uh, oof, I apologize.
This is
Um,
brutal.
yeah, it really is. I have no questions about Relink because I do not care about it, but I am glad that you are enjoying it. And I hope that if you are listening to this and it seems like the sort of game that is up your alley, I hope that you enjoy it as well. Not every game has to be for every person. And to illustrate that fact, I want to talk about a game called Roll, which I picked up during the recent Steam spring sale. I actually picked up like 6 games, all during the Steam sale. I got Dome Keeper. I got a bundle that has Write 'n Down and Dice. I got Astronaut the Best, which is a very very funny astronaut managing game. I picked up For the Warp, which is like a roguelike deck builder space kind of game. But the one I want to talk about is a game called Roll. And the way Roll works is when you start the game, you get one 6-sided die and 250 rolls. And that's it. And your goal is to get the highest score at the end that you can. But along the way, you can spend your points that you have earned so far in a store. And that store might do things like make one of your die faces worth 2 more. Or it might make one of your die faces 13. Or it might give you another die. Or it might give you a face on the die that once that face has been rolled 50 times, it generates a new die, and all of the numbers on that new die are prime numbers. Or it might give you a modifier where every time you roll that die, it gives you 5 times the amount on it. Or it might give you a different modifier where every time you roll a specific face of a die, it re-rolls that die 3 times. Or it might give you a different face where every time you roll that face, it re-rolls all of the faces of the dies that are adjacent to it 3 times and adds that total up and gives you that amount of points. And this is strictly a game for people who like watching numbers go up. This is a big number, funny game. It is absolutely awesome. It is like so joyous and so dopamine inducing, but also very, very relaxing. You sound like you have questions.
It's just it's such a weird thing to me, but then like I also know another, like we're gonna talk about another game that's the exact same thing except in a different medium. And like it, but the medium that you're talking about to me does not really intrigue me. But then I played the next game we're going to talk about, and it's like the exact same thing.
That's why I wanted
Uh,
to talk about this one first,
I
because
know.
you've played the other one, right?
Yeah.
And so bringing this one up is just like it's such a very simple concept with a very simple set of rules and a very simple goal, and it's just very very fun. I'm really really enjoying it. Um, that said, there's not a ton to it, right? There
Hmm.
isn't a whole lot of meat to on the bone of this, and it was like
Hmm.
a $5 game or something like that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting a ton. I actually think it's free on iOS and Android. So if you're listening to this and you want to give it a shot, you definitely can do so. But man, is it just like a really meaty little nugget of a game that I really enjoyed getting my teeth into. Which leads directly into the game that you were just talking about. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Ballatero?
Yeah. So Balatero is. Oh my goodness! Why is this game so much fun?
Wait,
I don't-
hold on. Before we get into this, do you pronounce
mhm.
it Ballatero or is it Ballatro to you? Because I've
I
heard both.
call it Balatro.
Okay,
Uh, but that's because that's what I was like. Brain of Dane was the first one playing it for me, and that's what he was calling it. And then I have a buddy here in Austin who's been playing it since the early access, and that's what he calls it as well too.
yeah.
So that's kind of the name that I adopted
It's
via
definitely
them.
not Ballatero. I'm not sure where I got the extra A from, but I've
Okay.
heard it as Ballatro and I've heard it as Ballatro. And so that
Okay.
was the actual debate that was going on in my broken brain, so I apologize. But for the sake of this, it's spelled Ballatro. It's available on Steam and on
Mhm.
Switch and soon coming to mobile.
And it's currently discounted because I don't know why I'm telling you this or why I told myself this when I opened up Steam. But apparently, there's a deck builder event going on in Steam right now, which is the worst thing I could actually have
Oh
found.
no.
Yeah, there's a sale event going on for deck builder. Like, okay, yep, shouldn't have said that out loud, but I did.
Oh
Uh,
no.
and so Ballatro's on sale right now. I'm just calling that out. So what it is we talked a lot about what the things around it, but let's talk about the gameplay itself. The game is poker, except with modifications that you can do to your cards. It's a rogue-like poker game, which is the weirdest thing that I didn't think that would possibly work. And when I first watched it, I was like, man, I wish this game had some like cool theming. I'm like, why is it just cards? But having played it, I'm like, the cards are perfect. The way that they did it is perfect. The sound of the cards flipping over is like it scratches a itch in the back of your brain. Um, so you're playing through just like traditional poker rules. You have a certain amount of discards, and you get a certain amount of hands to play, and you have to build uh, different amounts of money or chips you gain to meet the blind. And if you meet the blind, you get to purchase more chips, uh, more modifiers for
More
your cards,
jokers.
more jokers. Jokers are the big thing that may take this outside of a traditional poker, where they affect they affect different aspects of the game. They're like your big things that you build your deck around. Um, and you can continue to play. Your goal is to get up to 8 levels of ante, which is a big blind, a little blind, and then a boss blind. And if you can beat all of that, then you've technically beaten your run. But then there is an endless mode that you can take your build in past that, which is such a nice thing. A lot of it's not done as much in a lot of roguelikes. Sometimes it's like you get to the end of the thing and it's over. Like I'm thinking of the Curse of the Old Gods and like your Children of Morta and things like that. Once you get to
Yeah.
the end of a level, it's over. It doesn't matter how cool your build was, it's over. And this adds that endless mode, which is really cool.
Yep.
And the numbers get real big. And then they have different starting decks. As you can play through the game, you can unlock different starting decks. You can unlock different jokers, so you can get more build variety and stronger build variety. They have vouchers, which also increase. They're like passive bonuses that you can get. They have a whole tarot card system that can give you benefits can help you remove things from your deck, can help you give buffs. They can help you build up your jokers. They can give you jokers. They have a lot of ways to kind of figure out how you want to best optimize your gameplay experience. And then they also have planet cards, which then increase how much a certain poker hand is worth.
Mhm.
Uh, and then they have crazy things because you can add more cards to your deck, so you can get a 5 of a kind, and you can get
A
a
flush 5.
yeah, a flush 5. You can get a full house flush,
A flush
um,
flush house.
a flush house as they call it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have some really just awesome mechanics in the game that it's such a simple concept, but it's executed beautifully. Um, and for the what is it's currently $13, normally $14. Definitely worth the pickup if you like a good roguelite
Yeah.
deck builder.
It is without question the purest roguelike deck builder I've ever played, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's literally just like you if you've ever played poker, you already know the rules,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's no crazy theming. It's literally just like, "Hey man, get this many points and then do better next time and then do better next time." But the difficulty is tuned in such a perfect way. The deck building throughout the run is tuned in such a perfect way, and there are these jokers that like give you crazy effects that allow you to build around them, and all of these it really is like a 10 out of 10 game, which is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely insane to say because I don't give a fuck about poker, man. I don't care about poker at all. Which brings me to one of the craziest parts about this whole thing is that this game is getting banned in some countries because the ratings board in those countries is saying that this game simulates gambling when it does not at all. It just has a
No.
theme of poker cards. And so
Mm-hmm.
the fact that that's what's going on is just like the worst thing. It's absolutely terrible. Um so yeah, that's going on. All over the world too. It's not just like Australia who's normally known for this. It's like a bunch of different places.
That's
Um,
crazy.
yeah. Also, this is ridiculous. But you mentioned that deck building sale. There is
Yeah.
currently uh, a bundle going on where Balatero and Backpack Battles, two very, very good games, are bundled together.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so definitely worth checking out. There's also a Backpack Battles and Slay the Spire bundle, a Backpack Battles and Brotato bundle. Like they're I don't know what's going on with Backpack Battles, but they are all in on bundles, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of good games in this. Just if you can check out your Steam. I know Dan really likes Spell Rogue. It's like a Slay the Spire except with dice.
yep.
That's in there on discount. Inscriptions in there. So yeah, check that out.
Bingle Bingle, which is
Which is a roulette Palatero. It looks like.
yes. It is
I saw that.
It is exactly roulette Balatero, where you're like replacing spots on the roulette wheel or like making the ball huge so it scores multiple points, o- like all of that sort of stuff. It's absolutely loony, um, but it looks fun. It looks cool.
That it
So
does. That
yeah,
it does.
really, really awesome. I am
Mhm.
mad at you for telling me about this sale.
I mean, yeah, I really shouldn't have. Like, I need to not. I mean, good news is a lot of these games you already own. Like Monster Train, right? You already own that one. That one's on
Yeah, but
70%
I
off.
don't own Spell Rogue.
Yeah, I
I don't
know.
own Across the Obelisk. Like so many of these games, Spirit Island is on here for half off, dude. So many of these games are on my wish list, and it's just like but I have so many games to play already. So
Amen to that. Amen to that.
yeah, yeah. It's a rough time. It's a real rough time. Speaking of rough times, this is our last question here, and it is sponsored by illness, which is what I have been going through for the past month. I thought I was better, and then I wasn't. And earlier today, we found out that my wife has a sinus infection. So this one goes out to you, babe. It turns out your sinus infection uh, sponsored this question. So congrats on that, I guess. Deal with it. I don't know. What game have you been meaning to play this quarter that you haven't been able to? And what would you be willing to give up to have the time to play it? You
Ooh.
and I want to make it abundantly clear. Illness has told me that you are making a deal with the devil here. So it doesn't have to be like a specific like, oh, I would give up, walking the dog to do this. Like it could be anything. What would you give up?
Ooh, that is
And what game is it?
that's a tough question because I have already made enough bad decisions in my life that I'm playing all the games that I want to play by just not sleeping.
Okay.
Um, but oh, you know, a game that I do want to play that just came out on PC that I don't think I'm going to touch for a very long time is Horizon Forbidden West.
Okay.
I thought about getting it for PlayStation 5 and I was like, no, I'll just wait for PC because this is where I normally play games so I can talk to people. And then now it's here and I just don't know. I don't know when, if or when I will touch this game. What would I be willing to give up? I'll give up my dog rather than walking him. I'll give up Rocky.
You would give up your dog to anyone who was like, "Hey, can I have that dog?"
Can I get that dog?
Hey man, cool dog. Can I have it? Yes, it is your dog now. So no, that deal is rejected.
Okay. I don't know what I would give up. Maybe I would give up the rest of my birthday cake that's in the fridge. That was like there's a lot of birthday cake left.
How old's that cake?
Less than a week old.
Okay.
And it's very good still.
And your wife slaved over a stove to make it?
Yeah, she did make it for the first time. I would get in a lot of trouble doing that. I don't know if it's worth it, but you know what? I've
deal
already committed
accepted.
to it.
Yeah, you're fucked
I've
now.
already, man, that devil had a golden fiddle and I just got excited.
Yeah, you gotta just hope upon hope that she doesn't make it this far into the episode. Yeah. Oh man. Let's see. If I had to make a deal with the devil, for time to play a game, I would probably choose Final Fantasy 16
Mm,
because I haven't had a chance to play it, and I know it's going to be a long one. And so,
mhm,
if I'm gonna give something up, I want it to be like worth it, you know.
mhm.
Um, and I think I would be willing to give up. Man, that's a tough call.
It's a tough one to throw us on the spot with, Dale.
It really is. What was I thinking? I
Would you
think
give up your house?
no. I need it. Sadly, I haven't had it for 6 months, but I need it. I think I would give up remembering what the taste of a mango is like. I like a
Mm,
mango. I like a mango Jumex from time to time.
okay.
But I think I would go without it for the time is our most precious resource, right? And I
Yeah.
think I would give that up for the 100+ hours it would take me to play all
Yeah.
of Final Fantasy 16 to completion.
Devil here. I'm gonna counter offer. You remembering what the taste is not enough for me, baby. Because you could just have another mango and then remember it after. So you're gonna have to give up mangoes forever.
Okay. In what way? In that I no longer enjoy the taste of them.
Yes.
So it's like a
You
torture.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I don't die if oh there's
No, you don't
mango in this
die.
fucking fruitcake.
Yeah.
I'm dead now.
Yeah. It's not the snail. The snail is not chasing you
Yeah.
as a mango.
Okay. Man, that's tougher. But I think I'd probably still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is tougher though.
I'll give you the caveat if like mango is like not the main ingredient of something, you could still enjoy it.
Okay.
So if it was like they had like a tiny bit of mango juice in there, I want to make sure the deal's fair.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. You make a good devil.
That's I've been told that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm really good
I
at
don't
making
think
people
that's
make bad
I
decisions.
don't think that's the first time that I've told you that on this podcast, or maybe this week, and I've only been home for a couple days. So
It's true. It's true.
yeah, pretty good times. All right.
I am an enabler.
Yeah. You got anything else that you want to talk about from Q1 games?
You know, I just if you have anything that we've missed, please tell us in the Discord.
Yeah.
We don't like we just talked about we don't have time to play things, but finding out like through everybody has been really helpful with life being as busy as it's been. I haven't been able to follow as much of the game media that I normally do. I've just been following the ones that like I've been pumped and excited about. So things that are surprises are things that I find either through content creators or through my friends or sharing stuff. So please continue to share in the Discord and share in the podcast discussion about something that you have found that you've been playing. It doesn't have to be brand new either. It can be new to you. I'd love to find out what I've missed in my backlog.
Yeah. Nice. Good call out. Very good call out. And if you're like listening to this and you're like, man, that Discord sounds like a cool place. You're right, it is. You can find a link to get into it in the description for this episode. So do that because it's a great place to be. Also, a huge shout out to our Patreons. We could not do this without you. Thanks so much for your support and helping to keep the podcast free for everybody. And lastly, fuck you, Dan, for trying to get me to buy other games right now. I can't do it, and that's on you, man. So fuck you.
He
Um,
is an enabler
yeah, he
as
really
well.
is. He's an enabler in a different way, though, where it'll be like we're all in the Discord hanging out, all playing one game, and then he'll be like, "Hey, but check out this weird game that I know you'll love." And I'm like, "Shut up, Dan, son of a bitch! I love you."
Damn it, Daniel.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's everything I got. You got anything else?
Nothing else from me.
Tell the people where you can be found.
I'm in the Discord at night. I'll be around a lot more now that my show's open. I don't have rehearsals now, so come find me in the Discord playing games that I shouldn't be playing.
I love how you said I'm in the Discord at night. Like
I am.
You're
I'm
always in the Discord. You were just also
No.
frequently in the voice channels at night.
No, I'm only in at night.
All right, fair enough.
Anybody who's responding before the hour of 7 p.m. Central Time is not me. Someone
Okay.
else clearly hacked my Discord.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, it's a great time in the Discord because that's also where you can find me. I'm in 20 Sided Ninja there and on Blue Sky. I posted some fun vacation photos to my Blue Sky, so if you haven't checked those out, go in, check them out. Blue Sky is now open to everybody, by the way, so you don't even need a invite to get in there. Outside of that, I think that's everything. I hope you all have a super okay day. If you're still listening, thanks for listening. Why don't you say goodbye, Gannon?
Goodbye, Gannon.
God damn it, I knew you were going to do it.
Goodbye. Predictable.
God damn it.